have a point.
Skip Pierce, Paul Pierce sounds ridiculous. Does Paul Pierce realize that when LeBron got into the league, he was 7 years older? Paul Pierce was 26 years of age. And the league has gotten younger. So while LeBron is 33, 34, 35, these guys are coming in, Skip, at 20, 21, 19, 20, 21. Zion is what, 20 years of age? So LeBron James is 15 years older than younger. Zion is 15 years younger than LeBron James. Paul Pierce, KG, even Kobe. Let that sink in, Skip. Kobe came in 96 at 18. LeBron James came in 03. So he's 7 years older than LeBron. So, of course, these grown men, of course you're not going to be afraid of a kid. It bothers Paul Pierce, Skip, it bothers Paul Pierce that LeBron James in year 17 is still this good. It bothers him. They're not afraid. LeBron James is just good. It's just like, Skip, you hear guys say, when they lined up next to Kobe, say, man, I was nervous. I was scared. That's Kobe. Or when I lined up next to Michael Jordan, man, that's Michael Jordan. Skip, you know that's greatness. Paul Pierce said, I wasn't afraid of him. He dropped 45, 15, and 5 in Game 6 in the Celtics and 31 and 12 in Game 7. You remember that closeout game, Skip?
Yep.
Against the Nets? They swept him. He dropped 49 on Paul Pierce's head. Now, Paul Pierce did outduel him in a Game 7. LeBron James had 45, but Pierce won. Here's Pierce starting lineup. KG, Ray Allen, Rondo, Kendrick Perkins. Here's LeBron James starting lineup. Delonte West, Ilgauskas, Ben Wallace, and Wally Zerbiak.
It's pretty good, actually.
Oh, really? Hold on. LeBron James in 2010, 38, 8, and 7 against Game 3 against the Celtics. 2011, 35, and 14 in Game 4. 33 in Game 5 to close out versus Boston. Skip, stop this. Paul, you got to let this go because this does not come off as being analytical. This comes off as being jealous. It comes off as being petty. Is that you're looking for every excuse you possibly can to minimize what he's doing. It's so, Paul, you had an unbelievable career. Nobody in the history of the NBA has gotten more mileage out of an NBA title than Paul Pierce. But, bruh,
that's not right.
Name a guy that's gotten more mileage. Because
mileage?
More mileage out of one title.
Was it a fluke?
Skip, I'm not saying it's a fluke, but to try to minimize LeBron at every turn, because here he is in year 17, because all they talk about, yeah, he won the final, but he lost. So now if he wins, and he wins a 4th title with his 3rd team, and Lord forbid if he's the finals MVP, Skip, we might not ever see these guys again. What are they going to show their face? Oh, Kawhi's the best player. This player's the best player. And every year, it's LeBron, first team All-NBA. LeBron in the MVP. He finishes 2nd again. Paul, this does not come off as being analytical. This does not come off as being you offering a critique of a man's game. It comes off as you being jealous. It comes off as you being petty.
Just for the record, Paul Pierce, when he was in Boston, was called the truth because he was the truth. And he was the best player on that very good team that won the championship in 2008. KG was really good. But
KG was Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, but this guy, when you needed a bucket, he got you a bucket. He was very difficult to stop. Ray Allen was one of the greatest clutch shooters ever. He made the greatest clutch shot ever, and Rondo was really good at what he did.
Oh, yeah, playoff Rondo. The young playoff Rondo.
But Paul Pierce was really, really good, a perennial all-star. So don't tell me he got mileage out of it. If he'd been the 7th man, you could say he got mileage.
Skip, did you just tell me everybody make the Hall of Fame in the NBA? Everybody goes to all-star games in the NBA?
In 2008, Paul Pierce in a Game 7 did outduel LeBron James. And if you look closely, I dare anybody to call up the play-by-play down the stretch of that game and see what LeBron couldn't do down the stretch because he disappeared.
Let me ask you a question. If LeBron, we flip rosters. So now LeBron is with KG and Paul Pierce is with Ilgauskas and Delonte.
I'm out. LeBron came into the league with Chosen One tattooed across his back.
Sports Illustrated gave him that name.
Well, he put it on his
okay.
He adopted the powder toss pregame that some guy up in Chicago had made famous. LeBron announced, "I'm the new 23. Watch this."
Let me ask you a question. since you talk about adopting stuff, did Paul Pierce adopt the name The Truth? Does he not go by that?
What do you mean adopted?
Does he call himself The
There
Truth?
a truth before Paul Pierce?
Okay, hold on.
No.
Well, the chosen one. The chosen one. Sports Illustrated gave him that. Kid 15 years of age. He's 17. He's the next big thing. He's it. Did they lie?
Back.
Did they lie? Is it a lie?
Here's why Paul Pierce will not let this go. Because he saw up close and personal, because he mostly guarded LeBron James in 2010. This was the Eastern Conference semifinal, and LeBron put on a show in Game 3 at Boston on a Friday night. I thought it was the greatest game LeBron ever played. You think it was that Game 6, which came down
Boston, yeah.
2012, I think it was. But in that series, LeBron put them ahead 2-1, and then he pulled his usual disappearing act. Games 4, 5, and 6, he shrank. And it got so bad that his owner eventually accused him of quitting in those 3 games. And it got so bad that a member of LeBron's inner circle told Stephen A. Smith at ESPN that LeBron had to be sedated for games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue. And I had to be sedated after that got reported because I'm not buying that one. I'm sorry, but it was a big story.
Paul Pierce tweaked. Paul Pierce left the court in a wheelchair. Really, Skip? Are we trying to minimize the man? In that game that you're talking about, that you said LeBron melted down, he had 27, 19, and 10. Who would like to melt down like that?
Go look at the fourth quarter and tell me what happened.
Okay, but hold on. Let's look at the fourth quarter Saturday night. But you don't want to look at that.
This isn't about Paul Pierce being better than LeBron. It's about Paul seeing the vulnerability in LeBron under fire.
Skip, LeBron James got 645 or more points game against Paul Pierce. So was Paul Pierce not afraid? So why he keep doing it like this?
How do you explain what happened in games 4, 5, and 6?
Skip, you take one series. Skip, you took one series.
Okay, let's take 2011 NBA Finals, because trust me,
that wasn't Paul Pierce. Let's talk about Paul Pierce.
Okay, but the point was, Jason Kidd was not afraid of LeBron. Jason Terry was not afraid of LeBron James. Tyson Chandler was not afraid of LeBron James, and obviously Dirk Nowitzki was not afraid of LeBron James.
So in other words, so when he got swept, when Michael Jordan got swept, the Celtics weren't afraid of it.
We're talking about LeBron.
But see what you do,
I'm not doing anything. I'm telling you the facts.
What's the facts?
In 2011, we saw the all-time superstar meltdown.
Oh my goodness.
The chosen one became the frozen one.
Did Kawhi melt down?
Why do we have to change the subject?
I'm just asking because you try to make it.
You can't defend it.
Because you make it seem.
And Paul Pierce knows what happened.
So LeBron, I want to make sure. So LeBron James is
the all-time superstar
LeBron James is the only great player that hasn't come through in a finals moment.
Like that?
No, ain't no like that.
We've never seen that.
Ain't no like that. Yes or no? Is he the only one?
You're up 2-1. The chosen one is he goes back to his hotel room and he starts making a list of "I told you so."
Because you know what, Skip?
I'm at the top. I think I'm talking.
Because that's what this is about.
Wait. I'm talking now.
This is about you.
Yeah.
Make it about you.
So the only way you can stop me is to talk over me, right?
Go ahead. It's about you. Go ahead.
You got no comeback here. I've backed you into a corner once again. It's indefensible what's on this man's resume. It was the all-time superstar meltdown. He's making a list back in his hotel room, reportedly by ESPN. Put me at the top of the list. I'm going to tell him so, and then him and him and him. And 4, 5, and 6, he froze up. I've never seen anything like it before.
Is 2020 on his resume?
Interesting.
Is 2020 on his resume?
What's your answer to 2011?
Yeah, exactly. 2011. What's your answer now?
What's your answer?
What's now?
I want to know what your answer is. What happened?
Exactly.
What happened in 2010 and 2011?
The same thing that happened in 85 and 86.
That's why Paul Pierce is saying nobody was afraid of him back then, because there was nothing to be afraid of.
Exactly. But he put Paul Pierce butt out, made Paul Pierce leave Boston, made Paul Pierce leave, and Paul Pierce became a journeyman. So Paul Pierce wasn't afraid, but LeBron bashed his head every time.
So I think Paul Pierce knows there's one guy in the next series that will not be afraid of LeBron James.
Okay, and?
Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
Not afraid.
So Jimmy Butler did something.
That's the one guy today not
Jimmy
afraid.
Butler did something that Paul Pierce couldn't do. Take a team, carry a team. Minus KG, minus Ray Allen. That's what Jimmy Butler did. Paul Pierce is jealous. There's no way around it. What about 2020? What about 2020?
Paul Pierce won a championship. What's he have to be jealous of?
LeBron James got 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. How many three-time Finals MVPs have there been?
He's lost six.
How many?
He's 3 and 6.
So how many times did Paul Pierce get there? So Paul Pierce is so great. So all these guys weren't afraid of him. None of them. So how many times he keep Paul Pierce from getting to the NBA Finals? Paul Pierce wasn't afraid, but he couldn't go to the NBA Finals through the East. But how many times, Skip?
Well, once he joined Dwayne and Chris Bosh and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, yep.
Let me ask you a question.
You got it.
How many times did people mention Paul Pierce's name before KG and Ray Allen joined him?
Oh, a lot.
Stop it.
No.
Stop it.
Hey, you ought to go back. Look up what my friend Bob Ryan, the ultimate basketball guru in Boston, go back and look what he used to write about Paul Pierce. He had never seen anything quite like him. This is Paul Pierce solo. Go look it up.
What was he doing
he got
solo?
His nickname.
What was he doing solo?
The truth.
What was he doing solo?
He was the truth.
How many times did he get to the Eastern Conference Finals without KG and Ray Allen? How many times did he get to the finals? My guy at 22. Paul Pierce was 26 when LeBron got to the league. At 20.